Explore any possibilities that you've not previously considered. What have you not allowed yourself to think about? Don't force a vision or a purpose. It will come to you at the right time, in the right place. Focus on doing the right things, identifying your values, and measuring your actions against these values. I think the greatest inspirations for me tend to come when I'm in nature, when I'm hiking, when I'm fishing, when I'm wandering. Whenever I've had any great discoveries or any great achievements in my career, it's always been from relaxing and from taking in the moment. After my third year in geology, many people told me that I should get some experience with other companies and other minerals. So I worked for Goldfields Canadian Mining for one summer up in Ontario-Manitoba border. Wasn't really sure if this was something that I wanted to do, but I followed what the advice was of my peers and tried it out. It is good to listen to others' suggestions, but make sure that when you do, you own the decisions that you make. Don't ever blame somebody else for the decisions you make. This was a good experience, though. It brought in my confidence as a geologist. It also made me more observant and open to possibilities when I was exploring. One of the things that really taught me to appreciate was that Mother Nature has a great force, and you must work with Mother Nature. This was at the time when we were up there, there were huge forest fires, much like what's happening out west in California. And it was amazing to see how quickly those moved, and we had to evacuate our camp at one point. And then we also experienced an extremely devastating windstorm, which they call plow wind. It came through while we were having dinner. We had to go and hide in a rock crevice and protect ourselves, while trees were crashing down and completely destroyed our camp and all of the accesses that we had for our work. As I was finishing off my career, as I was finishing off my degree, I applied to just about every job I could find. I didn't get much responses, except for one company which actually came back to me, but I hadn't even applied to them. It was kind of strange. But eventually I was contacted by De Beers. They said they had an opening that had come up, and they asked me to put my application in and to come in for an interview. So ultimately I was hired as a field geologist with the condition that I successfully complete my honors degree. And that really pushed me to do well in my last year at school and to do good with my thesis. And it also demonstrated how they valued my education, which I thought was quite important and made me feel good about how I was starting. When you apply to work with a company, if it's full-time or even if it's contract, do some research. Understand their core values and be able to embrace them. Envision yourself working for them. And when you get engage with the interviewers, when you're with them, understand what they stand for and watch to see what values they're demonstrating. You want to make sure that you're genuine, that you don't try to sell yourself by creating an impression that's not true. If there's not a good fit between them and you, then be honest about it and explain your concerns with the employer and make sure that you get facts, you work on facts. Remember that an interview is as much for you as it is for them. One of the things about information is just making sure that we understand that the things which are in our head are our interpretations of reality. They're not facts. You need to seek out information and get the true facts. And be cautious when you look at information, because you naturally will select the information which supports your views on the world. So And then you'll also go and talk to others and try and get them to support what you believe. So be very careful. And I think certainly in today's age with the internet, there's algorithms and things, we're always being asked to accept cookies and things. They're tracking what we're looking at, what we're doing, and they try to give you the information you want to see. It's thinking that they're helping you, but in actuality, you're getting filtered the information that you want to see. So be clear and make sure you get firm, good facts whenever you're making decisions. And don't fall into this automatic listening, which restricts you from designing your future. Success and fulfillment is not about salary or the level that you reach within the company. It's a journey, and you must embrace it, the whole process, and gain the most that you can from each step. I think traditional views which we've had on career paths are very prescriptive, and they restrict our opportunities and exposure. I just remember annual career interviews. The questions became very routine. It was always, what's your preference regarding future career? Where do you want to be in 3 years, 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? The whole process of interviewing and your annual interviews and your performance reviews and that in the past were very personalized, and the information was stored in paper files. Usually when they wanted to look for someone or wanted to find out something from you, it was easier to come and talk to you than to go and review and pull out your file. Today, those reviews are all standardized, they're digitized, so that they can be used quickly and internationally, and they can find matches for operational requirements and for assessing, individual training needs. Although many seem, like they're tick boxing exercises, they can have a dramatic and distinct impact on your career opportunities. And they create a first impression on you for those people who are ready to offer you opportunities. Ensure that you make all of your desires clear and concise so that others won't go and make decisions that they think are best for you. You need to make it clear as to what you would like. Also, if you turn down an offer that's not a good fit for you, do it in a respectful and professional way, or it could significantly reduce future opportunities. You need to keep really vigilant in pushing things along and accepting new opportunities, but don't be impatient. Building a career takes time and it's hard work. There are no shortcuts. And I think one of the previous speakers there was talking about the shortcuts. And in a different perspective, you can accelerate your career and move it faster, but it still takes work. You need to be smarter about how you do things, and you need to be consistent, and you need to do the work. You can't just ignore things and pass things by and expect them to come to you. I'm just going to share my screen back again here. When we started the Victor Pit at Victor Mine, the ground was very clay rich, very fluid. It's extremely difficult area to walk in, let alone try and drive a vehicle in, let alone get big, heavy mining equipment in. We started off with 2.5 meter high benches or levels that we would cut into the clay to remove it. And you can see the picture down on the bottom right. We actually had to build roads. We had to mine limestone and build roads to be able to get onto the clay to be able to mine it out and remove it. So we were double handling a lot of the material. As we went further, we progressed to 5 meter benches to try and get bigger. And that was a big concern, and we were worried about things toppling in that, but we got through it, and we monitored things as we went. Once we got into the hard rock, we progressed to the design of 10 meter benches. So these were again double the height that we had previously been doing. And I tell you, that feeling when you got down in that first cut and looked at these 10-meter benches was terrifying. It looks like, how the heck can we ever do this? How will these rocks not fall down? You know? But eventually, as we got going, we realized that this was working really well, and the designs that we put together were well supported. After about 3 years of mining, some of the experts came through and they decided that you could get more diamonds from the pit and it would be more economic to go to 20-meter benches. So that was double benching. That was going twice the height again. A lot of money was spent studying this option before we could feel comfortable enough to do it. And the decision allowed the mine, once we went forward with it, allowed the mine to be more profitable. More attention was paid to safety and to planning. And the mining teams became very proud of the quality of the work that they were doing. So in the end result, we were able to extract more ore out of the mine, which is more efficient and sustainable. And we were able to learn from this that you can achieve things, and when you go and you look back, 10-meter benches seem so small by that time. So taking risks is a part of growing. So when you take risks and do things that you're scared of, you need to keep doing that, and you keep raising the stakes. Don't be afraid to fail, and don't let others tell you that you can't achieve something. You're the one that decides what's good for you and what's not. Hold true to your values, but never take risks at the expense of safety or your core values. And one thing that I reflected and remembered on was back when I was in high school, I was part of a group called the Junior Achievement. It was you build your own system and sell shares and everything. And we were at an awards ceremony. Our company had won top marks for manufacturing, actually. And the speaker who was presenting the award was the president of the Fuller Brush Company. And I just remember something that he said to me. It was, you have two things in life. You can either succeed or you can quit. And that's something which has always stuck with me. And when I talked with him afterwards and met with him, I was quite interested to find out that he was actually a geologist. He'd been in the geology industry, and when the downturn came, he moved into the paintbrushes and that, and worked his way up to be president. So your career paths can go many, many different ways. When you graduate, don't take time off to rest. Lots of people I've seen here plan on that and try to do it. Use that momentum to jump right into your first full-time and do it enthusiastically. The time to rest will come, when you really need it. There's ups and downs in the mining industry. There's ups and downs in the world right now. Everyone's had times to reflect and recharge. So every time that you experience change in your life, you grow, but it also takes a lot of energy. But once you embrace that change, there's new energy which flows to you and rejuvenates you. Invest your time also in taking the time to research and investigate how you can better yourself. So reading leadership books and self-improvement books or podcasts, audiobooks, they'll always help you to find new ways to improve yourself. Many of them say the same things, only just in different ways, but these tips do work and they do make a difference if you apply them. So determine which leadership qualities apply to you and practice them at every opportunity. You do not need to be upper level in the organization to be a leader. You can choose to be a leader. Again, that takes effort. Also embrace every opportunity to learn when you're doing new tasks or you're taking on a new position. I worked for a moving company for a number of years, and for 1 year actually, just for a number of months. And that was before I started university. And it gave me the confidence to effectively manage all these moves I had to do during my career. With De Beers, I've moved 10 times, 2 of those times overseas. So it's quite a toll, and there's no easy way of doing it, but having that background and experience really gave me some confidence. I also worked as a laborer, building a custom home 1 year, and working with the carpenters, plumbers, electricians, masons, drywallers, all those different trades gave me skills that have been invaluable throughout my career to help troubleshoot things and to support my family, to look after the business of the family. Be humble. Never let, never feel that you're entitled to something, or that you're entitled to an opportunity, and don't compare yourself to somebody else. If someone else gets something that you don't, be supportive of them. The feeling of resentment and bitterness is just toxic and will never ever help you. You need to embrace the process and show gratitude and curiosity. Lost my screen sharing here. 1 second. Oh, I still am sharing. Okay. So when I started working full time for De Beers, I had to assemble and lead a number of different exploration teams. We worked in many different areas and different environments. We started out in northern Alberta, out of Graham Prairie, which we set up a temporary office there. And we did exploration work. During that time in 1990, we discovered the first kimberlites in Alberta, which was the Mountain Lake kimberlite. Also went on and did some work up in the Northwest Territories, and particularly up in the high Arctic of Victoria Island. In 1998, we discovered the first kimberlites up there. We've been doing exploration in areas that were so remote that I truly believe that people had never set foot in some of those areas. In fact, at some points, my compass was actually pointing east instead of north. Also during that time, in 1991, diamonds in Canada just started to explode. There was the discovery of the Lac de Gras kimberlite, which was in the Northwest Territories, and that eventually became the diamond mine. And through that, the Northwest Territories experienced the largest staking rush in history of the world, as people tried to get in that diamond action. The discovery of boulders in northern Ontario led De Beers to stake ground in that area and conduct geophysics, and they eventually drilled into 13 kimberlites with villages. That was in 1980. Initial testing of those rocks, though, didn't recover many diamonds, so the company shifted its focus to the west in Saskatchewan. The Porter LaCorne kimberlites had just been discovered by De Beers, and also up into the Northwest Territories, where all the competition was sprouting. It was not until 1998, almost 10 years later, that the full testing of the further testing of the kimberlite rock that had been recovered resulted in the realization that although the quantities of diamonds were very low in those rocks, the quality was exceptional. And this spurred an evaluation program that initiated in 1999 and went over the next 5 years and progressed into a pre-feasibility, feasibility studies to try and prove up the economic value of the mine, of the deposit. One particular day while we were in the camp there, a visit from Nicky Oppenheimer, who then was the chairman and part owner of De Beers. He came to the camp, and we were in the final stages of the pre-feasibility at that time. The economic potential was not looking very good. and there were significant risks in developing a mine in such a harsh and remote environment. Nicky talked to us and expressed that he had seen the Victor diamonds when they were laid out in London at his office, and he said that he wanted them. They were spectacular. They had never seen anything like them. They went against all of the models that they had, and he was just truly excited. It was so exciting to see the sparkle and the fire in his eyes. He laid down the challenge to us to get Victor Mine up and operating ahead of Snap Lake Mine, which had just been purchased by De Beers, Canada, in 2000. He was a little further advanced than us, but drove me tirelessly over the next 7 years to work towards the goals of proving up the feasibility of Victor and preparing it for production. After getting approval to build the mine, I actually ended up moving to South Africa. I was offered a position as the divisional geologist in the Namaqualand mines, which is on the west coast. It's an alluvial diamond mining operation, and it gave me exposure into the mining from my experience in exploration and development. And it was quite an eye-opener. I think one of the things in mining, I was always concerned that would I find it challenging as exploration. And I must say it's different challenges, but it's ever much as exciting. So then in 2008, returned back to Canada, and Victor Mine was officially opened, but it was opened one day after the opening of Snap Lake Mine. I was just so disappointed that, and I think I felt a bit of resentment and frustration at that point. But there's things which politically motivate the company to make the decisions it does, which is better for the greater good of the whole company and the country. So this made me realize that there are some things that we don't have control over, and it's important to stay positive and focused on the things that we can influence. After opening of the mine, I needed a new focus and goals for my career. In 2008, Victor Mine had just begun production, and Jim Gowans, our CEO, rolled out a team effectiveness program that was developed by a group called the Melandro Consulting Group. And there's some books and that on it that are available that you could find out a little bit more information about. I think it's great things to ground your life and to help you to be very effective in your career. This program had a dramatic impact on how I interacted with others. The core of the program taught how to be 100% accountable. That's sharing things and making sure that you own what you're doing. Your actions create reality, and how you behave has a direct impact on how others respond. I learned that when your thinking becomes narrow, the world also shrinks to the same limitations. Also, collaborative efforts towards common objectives can overachieve and often reach goals that weren't previously ever believed possible. So the most effective teams that I always worked with were diverse. They were multicultural. They were, balanced equally with male and female. They were people who had different experiences and different backgrounds. These teams had to communicate effectively, to understand the objectives. Everyone's ideas were heard and valued, and they stood for each other's success. So we tend to judge behaviors, each other's by their behaviors. Yet we want people to judge us by our intentions. You can't see intentions, you can only see behaviors. To be effective communicators, we must listen and look for the positive intent in others. Clean up any disagreements as soon as they're recognized. Talk openly and straight with each other, but do it in a responsible way. Support one another and make and honor commitments. So many times I see now where people say they're going to do something or they're going to be at a meeting at a certain time, but they don't show. Also, trust is something which is so important for a relationship, and it can take a long time to gain trust. We don't have that time. So it's important that you can grant trust to people and that it's automatic, and that when things go and break that trust or damage that trust, we're quick to go and talk to the person and try and repair it. In this program, I developed a distinct new purpose that would lead my career and steer my future decisions. I realized that the purpose for mining and extracting diamonds was all about people. The Snap Lake mine at that time was struggling to make money, although Victor was very profitable. Our bonuses were reduced or eliminated due to the financial state of Canada, the Canadian operations as a whole. And a lot of our resources were being diverted to Snap Lake. I developed a mindset shift, recognizing that Victor Mine was not just supporting the lives of 500 employees and their families, but also the financially struggling Snap Lake Mine, where over 800 employees were, and the corporate offices that had 100 employees. So many of these families were from local First Nations communities and northern communities where unemployment rates were very high. We were developing new skills for those people that were sustainable and transferable. So this day, my greatest joy in my career has been seeing the success of others and recognizing how those people have contributed as role models to their children and to others. After spending 5 years managing the technical and mining operations at Victor, I was feeling a need for change. I frequently acted as a mine manager at Victor and also spent a few months managing the Snap Lake mine operations. But the feedback I got was that I needed more international experience to be able to take on a role like that full time. When you get into a groove and you feel confident in what you're doing, you have to stop and think, because now you've stopped growing and you've stopped creating. There was a great buzz term which De Beers had for a year, and it really bothered me when I heard it. It was, if it's working, break it. And you know, on reflecting on it, that's exactly what it is. If you get into a groove, if you get smooth and systematic, it's time to change. I offered a position with Namaqualand Mines as the mine manager at Elizabeth Bay Mines up in Ludwitz, Namibia. We moved there in late 2014. The mine had been operating on and off for over 100 years. The culture of the country and of De Beers was deeply entrenched in the employees, who were mostly unionized. But I had a very young and energetic leadership team that was made up of half male, half female, which was extremely unusual in the country, which was really struggling hard to get females into the mining industry, let alone in positions of decision making. The mine had less than 3 years of operation left in its business plan and minimal prospects of finding more economic ore. The diamond industry was not doing very good during this time, and there were many operational and financial restrictions, one of them being no access to new capital. We managed to work as a team and rethink how things were being done. Instead of mining to make money, we developed the concept of making money to be able to keep mining. The mine was extremely important to the local economy and to supporting the families of the employees, contractors, and suppliers. The mine ran strong for another 5 years and was eventually sold to a reputable mining construction company who proved capable of keeping the mine operating profitably at a smaller scale well into the future. All of the employees who wanted to remain with De Beers were able to find positions, except for myself. I ended up coming back to Canada, and Victor Mine was winding down and is in the process actually of being rehabilitated currently. I also, while I was over there, discovered Rotary. And through them, I've become very active and found that I could do positive influence in changing things in the world and connecting those who want to give with those who are really in need. And I'd encourage all of you in your careers to start looking out for those sort of opportunities and organizations where you can network with other people in different careers and start to contribute back to the community. So early in our careers, we want to accomplish something. We want to have an impact on the world and make our mark. We get frustrated with the time and the energy and the setbacks that we must go through in order to achieve our goals. But later in life, we want to pass on this knowledge. We want to take the learnings and give back from what we've earned. We become more and more aware of the distractions that material things can bring and focus on the impact that we can have on others. In this sense, a good career path is a sustainable one. We become the influencers to those around us. We encourage them to reach out and find meaning in their lives and to make positive change in the world long after we're gone. Having faith is the ability to believe that there is a greater good in everything that impacts our lives. Only you can decide to have faith, to seek out and embrace what good, all that good that's and allow it to be realized. We often never get to see the results of our efforts, but can experience the comfort in knowing that we've made a difference. From the cradle to the grave, we're on this journey, and we don't know where it's going to take us. It will take us, but if we explore and embrace every door along the way, what a wonderful journey it can be. I just want to take a moment to also acknowledge that, I have to thank my wife and my kids, my 3 boys. I met my wife at Lakehead, and my boys have been born in Alberta, Northwest Territories, Ontario. They're truly Canadian clan. And without them, without your family and without your friends, your careers have no meaning. And you need the support of others to make yourself successful. So always don't be afraid to ask and to get that support. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. And again, for the organizers for inviting me to speak. And I don't know if there's any questions.
Thank you so much, Brad. That was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We do have some time now for Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, please submit them through the chat box. Some of you have submitted questions throughout the presentation. So I'll start with the first one. Someone had asked, would you suggest that geologists or geology grads, if given the opportunity, travel and work in different regions or countries like you have? Or is it better to stay in one place?
I would say definitely whenever you get opportunities to expand your horizons, go for it. Moving to South Africa was an eye-opener. It strengthened our family. It strengthened my career. It really made what I was doing look small and insignificant. So anytime you get that opportunity, and now when we think about traveling, people call us world travelers because we're not afraid to go and explore the world as a whole. So no, any opportunity you get like that, take it. Even when I did those moves, I actually either stepped back a grade or kept my same grade. It was never a promotion in doing those changes. I didn't do the move to get higher in the company. I did the move to get experience and to get exposure and to grow myself.
Perfect, thank you. And another question that came in is, how did Lakehead prepare you for life after university?
Well, I think one of the great things with Lakehead is what you'll get out of it what you put into it. So you have to put the effort in. Um, Lakehead is not going to give you everything. You have to go and take it. It's all there available to you, but you have to put the effort in. And certainly interacting with your professors, interacting with your classmates, with the people in other disciplines, you build a network, you build a support group, you build inspiration in participating in the activities. For instance, I ended up meeting my wife there. So I started my life in that way also. Yeah, really embrace and take every opportunity that you can to grow.
Perfect, thank you. And we had another question that came in earlier in the presentation, which I think might be self-explanatory, but it says, you must know a lot about rocks. Does geology still inspire you as much as it did when you found that rock all those years ago?
I think that's a great question, actually. And one of the difficult things in a career is that as you move up in the ladder, you move away from your core learnings. You know, I spent very much less time picking up rocks and at the rock face and in the field, and more time in the boardroom or behind the computer, and that. And that was a difficult adjustment in starting to make that change. And that's where you have to get your mindset in seeing the good that you're doing and where how that's progressing your life and your family. But I still have that passion for the outdoors, and in my recreation and in my um, photography is one of the great recreations that I do. And I do nature photography and wildlife photography because I love the outdoors. And I didn't get into geology because I wanted to live in the rocks and be in the rocks. I got into it because of the outdoors. And but I still pick up. I have a beach in front of me, and I still every time I go down, I'm looking down at the rocks and looking for something unusual.
Always looking. So we have one last question. Did you have a favorite professor or class in geology?
Ooh, good question. Yeah, and I think you have people that connect with you in your career and in school. And we actually had Dr. Kalenbeck, who was a structural geologist professor, and he was very practical and very down to earth. And I really connected with his style of teaching and someone I could talk to. And yeah, so I would that he immediately came to mind. But I think throughout my career, I've sort of reflected back to different professors at different times. I mentioned um, Dr. Mitchell, who had been the leader in diamonds. At the time when I was in university, he was not a role model for me. I really struggled in his classes, and I didn't look forward to going to his classes at all. They were very hard for me. But later in my career now, when I meet him at a conference or something, it's really engaging to have good conversations with him, and we built a closer connection.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm sure if everyone was able to participate, they would all be giving you a huge round of applause right now. So that's all of our questions.
It's very funny being in front of a Zoom. I had to stick my little mining guy in front of my camera so I could remember that there's somebody watching me.
That's perfect. That's great advice for people. Get a little miner, a little someone there for you. So thank you once again, Brad. That was fantastic. For everyone else, if you haven't done so already, please be sure to check out our homecoming webpage to see all the amazing events we have planned during homecoming weekend, including more speakers, a quiz night, a yoga session, and of course our Keystone event, Lakehead Celebrates, beginning tonight at 7 p.m. So thank you very, very much, and I hope everyone has a fabulous day.